everyone. Welcome to the International Desk. A lot to get through this hour, so let's get you to our top stories right away. A pledge to end the violence within hours. We'll speak to a high-level government official about Syria's promise to stop military action against civilians. But does anyone believe it? Also, a massive earthquake rocks Indonesia, sending fears of tsunami across the Indian Ocean basin. And in Argentina, a premature baby, believed dead, is kept in a morgue's freezer for hours until the parents discover their baby is in fact very much alive. We'll bring you that remarkable story as well.
Live from CNN Center, this is the International Desk with Hala Gorani.
Less than an hour ago, Syrian state television addressed the UN-backed ceasefire that's supposed to kick in Thursday morning. They aired a statement from the Syrian Defense Ministry that says, quote, "We will hold off all of our military actions as of tomorrow morning, Thursday. Now we have completed our operation of combating terrorists and are now in control of our land. Our military forces will stay on alert for any attack by these terrorist groups against civilians, military forces, and private entities in order to protect the people and Syrian land." But these images, thought to be from today, a Syrian group says security forces are still pounding parts of the country. Video posted online appearing to show recent shelling in Homs. And we've been told 32 people have been killed so far today. Ivan Watson is tracking developments from the Turkish town of Antakya, very near the Syrian border. Ivan, what were you able to see today? And I know you spoke to some of those who fled the violence in their home country of Syria. What have you heard from them?
Well, the reaction to the Syrian government announcement that it plans to stop fighting at 6 a.m. on Thursday is not being met with a lot of, it's being met with a lot of suspicion, let's put it this way, from some of the 25,000 refugees living in refugee camps here along the Turkish border, and many others who are not living in camps as well. Their numbers are not clear. I spoke with one Syrian Free Army fighter who said that, sure, if the Syrian government stops fighting at 6 a.m. on Thursday, we'll welcome that. It'll be great. If they pull out their tanks and armored personnel carriers and artillery from cities and towns, it will be great. We will not mount any attacks. But he refused to believe that this would actually happen because he insisted that Syrian protesters would then immediately fill the squares of cities and towns and begin protesting against the Syrian regime, and he insisted that this was not something that would be tolerated by the Syrian government. Now, it's important for us to look closely at the statement coming from the Syrian government. They said, quote, "They will cease all military fighting throughout Syrian territory as of 6 a.m. tomorrow, while reserving the right to respond proportionately to any attacks carried out by armed terrorist groups against civilians, government forces, or public and private property." So the Syrian government can argue if there is an incident, such as, for instance, the deadly shooting on the border between Syria and Turkey on Monday that resulted in the wounding of 2 Turks and 2 Syrian refugees in a Turkish refugee camp, then that could be fair ground for the Syrian government to fire back with tanks and artillery in a way that has killed more than 100 people a day for the past several days in Syria.
Ivan Watson, there very near the Syrian border on the Turkish side. Thanks very much for joining us. And Ivan was talking about the statement there from the Defense Ministry. We also heard from the spokesperson for Kofi Annan, the international envoy to Syria, who's trying to resolve this crisis with his 6-point plan. So let's hear directly from a foreign ministry spokesperson. Less than an hour ago, I spoke with the spokesperson for the Syrian Foreign Ministry, Jihad Makdissi. I began by asking why, after more than a year of violence, the world should believe the Syrian government when it says its military will cease all violence. Listen to his response.
You don't need to believe us, Hala. What you need is, if you read thoroughly the plan of Mr. Annan, you will find out that there will be observers, military unarmed observers sent to Syria. These observers will be operating according to a protocol that we are now negotiating with the technical team of Mr. Annan. Those people will be telling you the truth as the Arab Observer did before, and nobody believed them.
So let me ask you this. What you're saying is there will be observers from the United Nations to verify that the military has withdrawn. Is that what you're saying?
Not only the military, the cessation of violence, Hala. Yeah. Someone needs to say you can't rely on Al Jazeera or Al Arabiya or the YouTube. We will be having, once we sign our protocol, we want Mr. Annan to send them as soon as possible. We are not afraid of the reality of the Syrian story. We want them to be on the ground and see for themselves who's violating this.
Let me ask you, when will this UN observer team then, this mission that is designed and whose goal is to verify the cessation of violence, when will it go to Syria?
Well, my dear, it's not up to Syria. What I can tell you from the Syrian side, we are fully committed to this. There is a protocol to be signed. I can tell you that we have negotiated almost 85 to 90% of it. We are still waiting the team to come back to resume the negotiation. And as soon as possible, if last week they can come. It's not, the delay is not from our side.
Where is the delay coming from then?
There is no delay. They have just announced the plan. We committed ourselves to the plan. Tomorrow there will be the cessation of all military action. Yeah. We're just waiting. I think in a few days, let's be optimistic.
So you think in a few days, and you're being optimistic, your own words, that a UN observer team will be on the ground to observe the cessation of violence across Syria?
No, Hala, I'm very accurate in what I'm saying. I'm saying that the Syrian team is ready to finalize the protocol that we have already begun negotiating, but it's not up to us. It's a UN observer. I can't tell you when they will come. What I can tell you that they are very essential to monitor any violation. This is what I can tell you, but we are not the sending state behind it.
Okay, so when you say a few days, you think possibly it could be longer, and you're saying it is not dependent upon the Syrian government what the timeline is for this observer mission.
Let me put.
I'm trying to get the statement accurately here.
Look,
yeah.
The statement is the following. We are now negotiating with Mr. Annan team, technical team, the modality and the form of this protocol. It will be very, in a way, similar to the one operated, the Arab League operated under which. Once we sign this, they can come the same day.
All right. Well, let me ask you then about what's going on today. This is a few hours before this agreement with the Annan plan that you say will lead to the cessation of military activity at 6 a.m. Damascus time on Thursday. We are hearing reports that there are tanks in the center of Hama today, that there has been shelling in Hama province as well today. Can you confirm that?
That's why we need the observer. That's why we need the observer. I can't verify anything. What I can verify to you, Hala, you have to know that my hat is a foreign ministry spokesman. What I can tell you is that there is a clear instruction to be on the defensive mode by our army. What I can tell you is even according to Annan plan, if you read it, the Annan plan, not only the 6 points, there are letters exchanged between my foreign minister and Mr. Annan. In these letters, Annan himself acknowledged the right of the Syrian army to respond to any violence by those armed groups. So what I can tell you is starting tomorrow, cessation of military action. We need the observer to monitor any violation. The commitment of Syria to have a successful mission for Mr. Annan is unshakable. But in the same time, you have to know that 40% in our hands, but you have also to tell Mr. Annan to go do his homework with other parties. You have regional countries who are harboring non-state actors, harboring militia against Syria. You have foreign minister from the Gulf country who are saying publicly that we are financing and militarizing the Syrian streets. So those people are hindering the mission of Mr. Annan.
Right, but in the end, it's a Syrian army, Jihad Makdissi, against opposition, some of whom may be armed, but then you have peaceful demonstrators as well on the shelling of civilian areas. Has that not happened in Syria?
You are simplifying the crisis in Syria, Hala. Let's tell you something. If you read very well the Annan peace plan, you will notice that the cessation of violence by all parties, so not the cessation of violence by the Syrian government, by all parties. So that's why I'm telling you the puzzle, part of it is in the hands of Syria. We are committed to solve this part, but the other are in the hands of those people who has, for geopolitical reason, for sectarian reason, for I don't know which reason, they corner themselves in destabilizing Syria.
Jihad Makdissi there, the spokesperson for the Syrian Foreign Ministry, when asked whether or not the Syrian military was targeting civilian areas and if that had happened, saying that that is an oversimplification of the situation and underlining the Syrian government's pledge that it will cease violence, but that it's only 40% in its hands and that they would welcome a UN observer mission. You're at the International Desk, back-to-back earthquakes.